City of Northglenn, Channel 8, keeping you informed of events in your community.
Good evening and welcome. I would like to welcome you to our June 25th City Council regular meeting. Joanna, would you call the roll, please?
Mayor Dodge.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Escobar.
Here.
Councilmember Sowers.
Here.
Councilmember Leidy.
Here.
Councilmember Downing.
Here.
Councilmember Brown.
Here.
Councilmember Whitman.
Here.
Councilmember Duran-Mullica.
Here.
Councilmember Wilford.
Here.
Would you stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have an acting city manager with us tonight, Brooks Svoboda, our planning director. Is there a response to citizen inquiry tonight?
No.
Thank you. Agenda additions and deletions. So we do have a deletion tonight under number 14 resolutions. Council, if you would delete item A, CR 81, the wastewater treatment plant control building, lab FFE, staff has chosen to delete it tonight and it will come back at a later date. And then I also have an addition onto our executive session at the end under item 18, adjournment. At the end, please add end potential litigation. Okay. Any other agenda additions and deletions from council? No? Thank you. All right, we're going to move right into presentations. Thank you all for being so patient with us tonight. I know you all had to wait out in the hallway, so I'm sorry, but we're very excited for everyone, and I would ask council to join me down on the dais, and we will proceed to the Dedicated Service Awards. So tonight we are giving out 2 Dedicated Service Awards. Here they are, and they're gorgeous. I'm going to start with Chandler Sanchez. Would you like to come forward? Okay. I have to say a little bit about how great you are first, okay? Turn this way because I can see Amanda's wanting to. Oh, I need that. I don't talk loud enough? Okay. All right, Chandler. You've been a great, first of all, I have to say, loved being with you on the Youth Commission. You're an amazing member. I expect great things out of you, and I know that you're going to come through. So let me read a few things that Chandler has accomplished in his brief, how many years? Are you 18 yet? You're not 18. 18. 18? Okay, 18. I'm 18, he says. Well, I'm not. So there. All right, so Chandler will be attending CU Boulder. You will be majoring in ecology and evolutionary biology. That's cool. I like that. Founder and president of Roots and Shoots. Explain.
Yeah, that's like our local greenhouse club here at Northglenn. We kind of had a greenhouse that wasn't really being used, and it's under a Jane Goodall Foundation that's Roots and Shoots. And so really I just thought that we could be utilizing it better. And also I'm majoring in ecology. I really like plants. So it was a fun way to do stuff after school.
Thank you. Sounds good. Okay. National Honor Society officer, lettered twice in Honor Society, lettered 3 times in academics. As a member of the Northglenn Youth Commission, served as treasurer and represented the city at the National League of Cities. Helped plan a variety of events, including May Mayhem, Field Day, and Read Across America Day. Nominated for the Hispanic Advisory Council's Outstanding High School Student of the Year. That's really cool. I didn't know that. Huh. No, that's great. I didn't know you had that honor. Received scholarships from the Adams 12 Scholarship Fund, the Never Forgotten Scholarship, and the Lindmore Scholarship. So let's congratulate Chandler on You want to say a few words to everybody?
Thank you. Yeah, I'd just like to thank the city and like all you lovely people who help represent it. I think in my 4 years, I've come to really respect and love not just like local government and getting to know more about it, but really showing that you can make a big difference in your community, even if you are just one person, even if you are just a teenager. It's possible, and I don't think a lot of people see that. So I think it's definitely inspired me in where I want to go in the future. So thank you guys.
You're 18 now,
Okay, Savannah Van Dyne, come on forward. Savannah is also receiving a Dedicated Service Award tonight. Same thing that I said about Chandler, I could say about you. You've been such a terrific member of the Youth Commission over all these years, and I'm going to read your list of achievements in your short 18 years, right? 18?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Graduated from Northglenn STEM School. She was the softball team manager, the National Honor Society member, a National Honor Society member, that sounded dumb, 2018 Biomedical Student of the Year, HOSA officer and National Conference finalist, HOSA, Health Occupation Student Association. Founder and president of Girls Only STEM. I knew that. That is a really great achievement that you started. You started, obviously, yeah. Founder, okay. Attending University of New England. Yay, New England. Majoring in psychology. Received $18,000 in annually renewable scholarships. Wow. Served on the Northglenn Youth Commission for 5 years, including terms as treasurer, vice president, and president. Congratulations, my dear. Here is your award, and you can stay a few minutes.
Thank you. I'd just like to thank everyone on City Council and everyone that has served on City Council for the last 5 years. You guys really push us to make sure that we're doing things for the community. That way we're actually influencing the youth. It's really made me feel like I can go talk to community members and figure out what I can do to make your guys' lives better, whether it's a 5-year-old or an 85-year-old. I feel like I can make a difference now.
Thank you. All right. Just an example of some of the great youth that we have here in Northglenn, but these two are outstanding. So thank you guys for being here tonight. All right, I think we're moving into our, do we do Yard of the Month first? Yes. Yes. Are you coming? Please help me, because I don't have a script now, and I'm going, I don't know what I'm doing.
I am moving in. So first I'm going to turn it this way because these are our brand new signs. Ooh, ah.
Wow. You're beautiful.
So I'm going to put it right up here now so we can, all the audience can ooh, ah. And a lot of these families have some of these beautiful new signs this evening. It's a little tricky here, but I'm going to get it. Okay, here we go. Okay, so first we're going to start by thanking the volunteer judges. And I'm going to put it right on that home while I just talk to you a little bit about the beautification program. So I'm pretty excited tonight, more so than normal, because this is 20 years. 20 years, you guys, we've been doing this program. And so I thought it was really great that we got a new logo and new signs for our 20 years. And I think they're beautiful out in the neighborhoods. So 20 years we've been recognizing families for Yard of the Month and Waterwise, and then long-term Home Beautiful in August. So in June, July, and August, we have 13 judges that cover all of Northglenn, and each of those judges in those 13 areas choose these wonderful, beautiful yards that people are working on. So tonight we're just going to recognize Yard of the Month, and we have 5 winners of the Waterwise Award. I apologize for not talking into this. So without further ado, I'm going to get started on that. And I'm sorry that my back is to you. I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, no, they're not. So first off, we have a Yard of the Month winner, Jonelle Lucero at 10646 Steele Street. So let's give them a hand. Okay, and the next one is Terry Grant at 11035, sorry, Carol, Claude Court. We have Daniel Sanchez at 11946 East 119th Place, and I believe they're here tonight. Good.
Get this gorgeous plaque to hang in your home. How's that? Congratulations. Would you like to say a few words about your lovely yard?
He doesn't speak English.
Oh. You can speak Spanish too.
He just wants to thank everybody. He's been working on his yard. That's the love of his life. Well, after kids and wife. But yeah, he spends a lot of time on that, and he's very happy about it.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you can shake your hands with the rest of the family. We would love to say congratulations also. Thank you. They get both on side.
Please let me know I'm jealous, because I drive by it.
Oh, you do?
Yes.
Get this one too, I'm sorry.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, we have Greg and Crystal Keller at 1622 Truda Drive. Johnny and Sue Harrison at 1760 East 114th Place.
Congratulations. Here's your lovely plaque. Thank you. And your lovely beautification award. Would you like to say a few words about who works in? Yes.
He does all the work.
He does all the work?
Whatever
He
you
does
tell
the
him.
lawn, I do the flowers.
And you do a
Thank you
beautiful
very
job.
much.
Thank you.
I love your house. I want that front door so bad. I've taken my husband by like 12 times. I want that door. I want that. So great. Thank you.
Congratulations. Thank you. So nice to meet you guys. Good job. Good job. First time. Woo. We have Sandra and Juan Ramirez at 1263 East 110th Place. And Luis Garcia is not here this evening, but a beautiful home on the corner of 10521 Marion Street. Really pretty. Ed and Claudia George at 193 Northglenn Drive, and I know they're here tonight.
Congratulations to the two of you. Thank you. You want to tell us a little bit about who keeps that lawn so beautifully coiffed?
And does the
You do the backyard?
Yeah, the flowers.
Oh, a lot of flowers in the back.
You wouldn't see all the flowers.
Yeah.
Well, we took Avery back there to show him.
Oh, one of the
He's seen it,
judges?
yeah.
Oh, I see what you did.
Yeah, we
Okay,
did.
that was
We
smart.
took care of it.
Congratulations.
Okay.
job. Thank you.
Thank you. So you can give us a flower.
Thank you.
It's beautiful, thank you.
Nice to meet you. Really nice to meet you. Really nice to meet you.
Congratulations.
Great, that's what it's all about.
It is. That house was mom and dad's. 1960, so I've been there a while.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Ellen Barella at 394 East 112th Place. Mike and Liz Granshaw at 11797 Delaware Court.
It's the hubby?
Yes, the
I
still take care of it, though.
You should be mowing, so.
Yeah.
Do you want to share anything else about your lovely yard?
Just that he's taken such great care of it over the years, and it's changed, evolved, and continues to evolve.
No, it's great.
And that's like the best apple tree ever.
I love
Beautiful tree.
And Mike couldn't join us tonight. huh?
He's actually working in Idaho.
Oh, okay.
He's on the road again.
Well, tell him congratulations.
So that's why I said in training.
So nice to meet you.
Thank you.
And you can go say the rest of the council. Thank you.
The best part is you can have him watch the recording on Channel 8 and hear you give him full credit.
That's
Don't
right.
forget to do that.
Shout out. Yes. Thank you.
Good job.
Nice
Good luck.
to meet you.
Your
You're
apprentice
beautiful.
skills are on the
You're
way.
really pretty tree.
Help at my house, so.
Very nice job. And Karen and Alan Richardson at 1585 Clare Lane.
Reputation precedes you, my dear.
Yes, it does.
Congratulations. Where's Karen?
Oh, she's working. She's got to pay for all that stuff you got to put in there.
Well, I've actually been to your beautiful home, and yes, your yard is gorgeous, so congratulations. Would you like to say anything to the masses?
Who does all the work?
Uh-oh.
The wife weeds, I build it, she weeds it, so I'm real happy about that. In my neighborhood, everybody swore to God that I stayed up all night and made the sign myself. So
Now you can prove it tonight.
I can prove it.
Congratulations.
It's gorgeous, I'll admit
It
it.
is, you know.
Well, you ought to
Yes.
see the backyard.
No, you have to come see mine first.
Okay, fair enough.
Alan.
No one invited me over.
You're welcome.
Right, me too, so.
Okay, we have Edward and Josie Trujillo at 10629 Cuivas Street. Are they not here?
Yeah.
Oh, you're here. There you go. Are you okay?
Yeah, I had knee surgery.
Oh, honey.
Trying to bring it over to you. Wait, I
No,
always
that's
forget the little
okay.
one. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming tonight. You want to share a little bit of info about your beautiful yard?
Well, I concede all the honors to my wife. I'm merely a maintenance man.
I dig the flowers, he plants them. Because I can't dig holes no more. I used to, but
Oh, yeah. That's the
I've
hard
given
part.
it up, so I rest
Oh.
now. I just boss. I'm the boss.
Good job.
That's a good job.
That's the correct, exactly. Well, congratulations.
Yes.
You'll be congratulated, or maybe they'll come to you.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
This is our second time.
Thank you.
I remember. Yes, I do. It's beautiful.
I used to come to class.
Yes.
Looks great.
It's gorgeous.
Yes, it is.
Happy healing.
Yeah, it just takes time, I guess.
It does.
Some walk right like nothing happened, and here I had a clot, and it takes me longer.
You're walking great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Paul and Carrie D. Herrera at 1247 West 98th Avenue.
I assume you're Paul?
I'm Paul.
Not Carrie? Okay.
She's at her swimming class tonight.
Okay, here in Northglenn at our
Here in
rec center?
Northglenn, yes.
Just checking. So you want to share a little bit of info about your lovely yard?
The neighbors think that we do it overnight because every morning when they drive by, everything is pristine and where it should be. They think I paint my lawn and all of that, but just spend a lot of time out there.
You tell them it's the elves that
It's
come
the
and
elves.
do all that work?
I says it's like raising kids. You got to talk to your plants.
Oh, you do a great job.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I don't know.
Thank you.
I talk to my flowers.
Yeah,
When I'm watering. Beautiful.
you should just do those.
Congratulations. Paul, thank you for being here, and that's yours also. Okay, congratulations. Okay, and the WaterWise Awards tonight are Paul Pena at 11031 Pearl Way.
Congratulations, Paul. Here you go. Here's your award. And
Thank you.
I think you have to tell us why you're so water-wise. What did you do to your front yard there?
When we moved there, it was just no good. So I said, okay, I'm gonna fix it. So I put all mulch and put some nice plants that don't take a lot of water.
Okay.
So now I'm working on my backyard and I still need a lot of rock. I'm doing around my yard to save water too. Yes.
Well, congratulations on being water-wise. That is a very good thing to be, so
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. It's great.
My pleasure. Take care.
I
Thank you.
love your awning. That looks so, it just stands out.
Oh, it's right
Is your
here.
house? Thank you.
Thank you. Wow, that's what my house looks like?
Yeah.
I know, I never see it from that far.
Nice to meet you.
It looks amazing. Thank
Thanks
you.
for being here tonight.
Oh, you even have it on me.
Well, yeah. And we have Amy Stuck with at 11851 Lincoln Street. And I just have to say, tonight is their wedding anniversary, and they're even here.
What number year is it? 24. 24? So I'm going to think that she does all the work because your name's not even on this plan.
No, that's not true.
No. He does all the work. I try to keep the plans alive.
Well, you're doing a good job. What are you doing to be a water-wise
Well,
yard?
we just poured that front porch, that new front porch, so we took out a lot of the flower beds.
Oh, yeah. Well, good for you. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you both. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
It takes it right away from you.
Thanks for being with us on our anniversary.
You got the name in the PR.
That's right. Congratulations.
Congratulations on both of you. Wedding anniversary.
Nice to meet you guys.
To the next
Happy
25
anniversary.
years.
Wow.
Go to dinner now. Okay, and we have Tammy and Ray Egan at 2022 Truda Drive. And Gary Grania at 10558 William Street. And Lan and Mitzi Steinberg at 1362 Beth Lane. And I think that's it. Thank you very much.
If I didn't give this to one of you, I am sorry. So is there somebody that didn't get? These are the little signs you can put in your windows to brag to your neighbors that you are.
Awesome. I know it's Corey's favorite.
Jenny, can we just like to way at the bottom because she was first, right? So I know everyone's leaving because you thought we were done, but we actually have one latecomer, but we definitely want to acknowledge her. It's Joanne Lucero. Jonelle, I'm sorry. I thought it was Joanne. Jonelle. And here is your beautiful award. And would you like to tell us a little bit about your yard?
Well, I just put a lot of hours into it. That's my hobby. So, yep, so I'm out there every night, and that's why I was late.
Out working in your yard. Good.
Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you, Jen. Really, the slides are great, huh?
All right, our next item on the agenda is our 2018 legislative update with our lobbyist, Jeff Wilson. Hi, Jeff, how are you?
I'm well, thank you very much.
Good.
Pleased to be here. You've all received the written copy of my report, I presume, and I will spare you going through it in exhaustive detail. I saw several of you up at CML, and I hope you heard the CML staff update too on legislation. We followed a lot of the same bills. I followed a ton of bills for you this year, as indicated in the dossier. It was a real wild session. I think it was my 37th session down at the Capitol, and this one was very acrimonious. Representative Lebsock was ejected from the House. Very difficult, very political session. The upcoming election cast a shadow, as it often does in election year, over what happened down at the Capitol. In my report, I've classified activity on bills according to subject area. Liquor and beer was a big deal this year with the move towards full-strength beer and the sale of beer in gas stations. There are a lot of land use considerations around that evolution. A very important bill for local government was Senate Bill 243, which is an omnibus liquor bill, and it includes a 500-foot setback from schools for any new licensee. It's an omnibus bill, and I'm suggesting in here that the city take a good look at it. I'm sure Corey's doing that. The city continued to be interested in affordable housing and homelessness this year. We saw a variety of bills. Many of them didn't pass, but we supported Senate Bill 7, which continued the low-income housing tax credit, which passed, pleased to report. Just want to hit some highlights here. You'll notice a very odd thing happened under sanctuary cities. A couple of these bad bills were killed in their first hose committee. That's House committee. This must have been where I was running out of gas typing this report. Let's see, marijuana, always a big topic here. The social club bill, House Bill 1258, passed the legislature after a tortuous path through the process, during which many of our initial concerns were resolved, and then the governor vetoed the bill. Look for that to come back next year. We had a bill this year concerning municipal courts. I jumped over that, proposing to suspend our ability to suspend driver's licenses if people don't pay fines in municipal court. That bill didn't pass, but I expect it to come back next year. Transportation, as always, is a huge deal for Northglenn. I attached to my report the fiscal note from Senate Bill 1, which is a very complicated bill, but it did end up finally allocating some, that's okay, some much needed money to local government. That's all I'm going to say about the issues themselves. That part of this speaks for itself. As I indicated at the end, in terms of the lobbying program, I think the challenge for Northglenn is always to play bigger than our size, you know, down at the Capitol, to reach beyond our legislators and exercise influence over others. And I've mentioned some ideas here that I think might be useful towards enhancing our ability to do that. One is, well, for starts, we're going to have some new legislators in the election this year, and I think one of the sort of essential things to do is meet with them soon after the election in small groups, several members of the council, myself, and them, in an unhurried atmosphere where we can really discuss what their priorities are and what ours are as well. It's always better to have a relationship with these people when you're asking them for something later. So that's one thing. I also, in the legislative committee, which I think has been working really well, one of the ideas was for hosting a reception here in the city with our legislative delegation around something that we're proud of here in Northglenn. We have plenty to be proud of, and there are some historic buildings, there's various and sundry themes that could be part of this sort of meeting. So that's another thing that I think is a really good idea that came out of the legislative committee. And finally, one of the things that I think we can do up here is work more collectively among Adams County municipalities. Many of them have lobbyists. So they're all active down at the Capitol. There's a lot of commonality of interest, not always, but often there is. And when there is, I think we should marshal that possibility of exercising a larger influence. That's part of the playing large. So in the memo, I suggest outreach between you all and, you know, city councils in Adams County, you know, all up here on the north side. I think all of them, y'all should play together and get to know each other. And when we do have a common interest, like some real stinko legislation we need to go after fast, that kind of unanimity can really make a difference. Also on the positive side, but unfortunately we play a lot of defense because home rule cities already have great plenary constitutionally based authority. So down at the Capitol, regrettably, what we spend a lot of time doing is trying to keep those guys from cutting in on it. In that sense, this was a pretty darn good year. Corey tells me to stay away from percentages, and you'll notice I did that, Corey. But most of our support bills passed, and most of our opposed bills were killed. So all in all, it was a very good year, and it was my honor and pleasure to represent you down there. That's it. You got a big agenda. I'll do this because I love it, which just shows you my level of deterioration, because I really love it at the Capitol. So there you have it.
We appreciate that you love it.
Yeah, I know.
You have a good time there, okay?
Okay, thanks. I got a nice soft room without a doorknob that I live in. Thank you all.
Jeff. Wait, does anybody have any questions for Jeff?
Just want to thank you for all you do for us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
Thank
Thanks.
you. Have a good evening.
Thanks.
All right. We will move to public invited to be heard, limited to 5 minutes per speaker. Statements shall be related to city business and limited to matters of community interest. And I only see one name on the sign-up sheet. I wonder who it is. Mr. Popularity.
I know, I talked to him about that.
That's right.
Would you state your name, please?
I've missed a few, so I had to make a list. See, I even came prepared.
Oh, no, a list.
You have 5 minutes.
We're scared.
Oh, I'll be done in 30 seconds. I was going to say the Huron Center is looking fabulous. Got to go through Advanced Auto Parts, had to buy stuff. And Arby's, the food's tasting pretty good. And then I tried Kentucky Fried. They're doing pretty good too. So that's all well and good. The thing that I saw was that we got a grant from Adams County for about $350,000. So the question is when are we going to get the Northwest or the space redone? Because it'd sure be nice to have a nice place next season. And I was going to have a suggestion that the open space should be the open space, and the soccer fields ought to be our new Northglenn Sports Complex when it's done, so people don't get confused. And then let's see, I got one more. That's it. See, I told you I'd be done in 30 seconds. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. That was all good stuff.
That was all good stuff.
Thank you, Alan. All right. The next item on the list is the Legislative Policy Committee update. And is there a committee update? No, none tonight.
No,
okay. All right. Thank you. Then we will move to our consent agenda. Second. Joanna, would you open the vote, please?
The vote is open.
Thank you. Please vote.
We'll close that vote, and the consent agenda passes unanimously.
Right. Hang on here. Let me get my paperwork. All right. We will move to public hearings. Tonight we have 3. I would like to open the first public hearing for CB 1908. Joanna, would you read the title, please?
A bill for an ordinance amending the Northglenn Municipal Code by the addition thereto of a new section 9-4-15 concerning pedestrian access to medians and repealing Article 7 of Chapter 7 of the Northglenn Municipal Code.
Is there anyone here who would like to comment, on this public hearing for pedestrian access to medians amendment? All right. Seeing no one come forward, I will close that public hearing. I will open the next public hearing for CB 1909. Joanna, would you read the title, please?
A bill for a special ordinance rezoning from O-1 open space to R-1-B residential certain real property in the city of Northglenn located at 10700 Pecos Street in the county of Adams, state of Colorado, and amending the zoning map of the city of Northglenn.
Thank you. And since this is a rezoning application, I have an opening statement to read. The Northglenn City Council, this application is for the rezoning of the property located at 10700 Pecos Street from O1 open space to R1B single family residential. The Northglenn City Council has jurisdiction to conduct this hearing under the applicable provisions of its Home Rule Charter and Chapters 3 and 11 of the Northglenn Municipal Code. The procedure to be followed in this case will be as follows. City staff will give a brief outline of the nature of the application. The applicant may then present any evidence in support of the application. All persons opposed to the application shall be entitled to present evidence. Any other interested party shall be entitled to present public comment or evidence. The applicant may then present any rebuttal evidence. Council members may ask questions of the staff, the applicant, and the public who testify. All witnesses will be placed under oath by the city clerk and may be cross-examined by any party, counsel for any party, or the members of the city council. Are there any objections to the jurisdiction of the city council or to the form or substance of these proceedings? Hearing none, staff, could you please give the outline? Thank you.
Certainly. Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. Alan Seeliff from the Planning Department will be making a presentation tonight. I just want to mention that typically I like to have staff, as the Planning Director now, to come up and get some exposure in interfacing with Council. And so tonight will be Alan's first presentation in front of you. However, I will point out you've seen him before sitting at the table, and he is a seasoned veteran in our Planning Commission. So I welcome Alan, and he'll walk us through this, and also the applicant is here tonight to answer questions as well.
Okay. Thank you, Brooke. Mayor, Council, Alan Seeliff, planner with the Department of Planning and Development. Tonight, I'll be presenting the case on the Templo Bethel Ministries of God Church. It's a rezoning. The slideshow is an abbreviated version of one given at Planning Commission on June 5th. That application was for a rezoning. Planning Commission recommended for the rezoning to Council, and then they were the final decision on the permitted use permit. So that's what the PUP refers to on the presentation. Tonight, your decision will only be on the final rezoning. So the applicant is the Templo Bethel Ministries of God Church. They're requesting to rezone from O1 open space to R1B single family residential. The location's at 10700 Pecos Street. Notification was conducted in accordance with public hearing processes in Chapter 11, so that included mailing notices of the rezoning hearing to the nearest 35 property owners, posting in the local newspaper, the Northglenn Thornton Sentinel, and posting a sign on the property. And just to orient ourselves here, the church is located here at the Star, so it's just to the southeast of the Northwest open space. Zooming in here, it's located south of Rotary Park, west of Westview Elementary School, and north of the Northglenn United Methodist Church. So a little bit of the site history, which explains the need to even rezone in the first place here. The current building was actually constructed by the city in 1970. It was known as the Westview Neighborhood Center. It operated as the original location of the senior center, actually, until the current recreation and senior center was built later in the 70s. So it was zoned as a city amenity, as a public amenity. Once the senior center operated, the site was no longer used by the city. They leased it out to other daycare groups, church groups at the time. It was just kind of a couple of different operators of the building beginning in the 70s. It was eventually sold to the Taylor Rainbow Learning Center, who operated out of that location for more than 20 years, I believe. They didn't assume ownership of it until 1999. I believe they started in the mid-'80s. It probably should have been rezoned at that time. For whatever reason, one way or the other, or an oversight, it never was. So today, as we have a church group looking to take over space of the building, the code requires a permitted use permit to operate, but it also has to be in a zone that allows that as a permitted use permit. Churches aren't allowed in open space zones. So in conjunction with the rezoning, they got, or they applied for the permitted use permit with Planning Commission. And I'll update that later in the slideshow. So the comprehensive plan, just to consult it, it identifies the site as institutional. In the future, that's similar to a church or a school. So it's already been that. It's not identified to change moving forward. And again, this zoning procedure is consistent with other churches in the city. A lot of the other churches are in single-family residential zones. They're obviously not housing, but they operate with the special zoning approval. So a little bit about the site. It's currently a vacant building. It's a one-story, 4,500 square foot about concrete building. It's got a basement, about 1.5 acre site. It includes a parking area, a front entry plaza, and a playground. Most of that is not proposed to change. This is basically a straight rezoning. There'll be some maintenance and updates on the site, but it's not going to be any new construction associated with this. The current building's actually set back pretty far from Pecos Street, about 250 feet away. Most of the site is already landscaped, and then there is a drainage easement that runs east-west through the property. None of that is being proposed to be changed. So here's a couple of pictures of the building in its current state. We've got the building, the parking area, which is actually concrete as well, the plaza area. Again, for zoning, for context, the park, Rotary Park to the north, is O1 open space, but the rest of the zoning, including the school and the Methodist Church, are already R1B residential. There is a multifamily apartment complex to the northwest as well. So getting into a little bit of the more analysis on the application. Currently, open space zone, again, it needs that permitted use permit to operate as a church. That was approved by Planning Commission unanimously on June 5th. I will add that they did add a condition of their recommendation for approval, and that was to require that the new operators secure an access easement. There's actually a very small little sliver parcel that was owned by the Promac company, so the original subdividers of the neighborhood. Up until recently, they sold the property or quitclaim deed the property to the Temple of Bethel Church. So they have now been able to get an access easement just across that small. It's about an 850 square foot parcel, and it just happened to cover where the parking lot entry area was. So this will secure that access going into the future. The church itself is currently 40 to 50 person congregation is the estimate for Sunday services. There'll also be additional Bible studies and youth educational programs on Tuesday and Thursday evenings. Here's the site plan. This will be part of the building permits when they come in for renovations, but really the major exterior work is they're repaving the plaza area and adding a little bit of I think it's a planter box in the front there. The parking area, the rest of the landscaping, the building footprint itself will not be changing. So part of the rezoning and the permitted use permit process included analysis on parking and traffic. So Public Works Department approved the traffic generation potential letter required of the applicant, basically stating that there will be an increase in trips on Sundays, a decrease during the rest of the week, but neither of the changes were anticipated to have a major impact on the existing surrounding street network. Also regarding parking, so there's 36 parking spaces on the site currently. They're not going to be expanding the parking area at all. Based on the current code, they would be allowed no more than 108 attendees, being at their 40 to 50 currently. They're less than 50% obviously of what they could do, so they can still grow quite a bit without needing additional parking. But should they do grow, should they want to expand the building, they'll be required to update and amend their permitted use permit with Planning Commission at a future time. Here are some elevations. Probably can't tell a whole lot of detail here, but they're adding these kind of darker areas, a roof parapet area. They're adding some masonry to the building. So that's part of the exterior improvements to the site. Regarding landscaping, the site's well over the 12% minimum. They'll be cleaning up and maintaining the site, but not doing any major changes to it. And then again, with the architecture and elevations, improving the current building by screening some of the rooftop equipment, by adding additional decorative masonry, cleaning up the outside of the building. So with that, the approval criteria for a rezoning case found in Article 37 of the zoning ordinance, Chapter 11. There's more analysis in the staff report, which was included as an attachment. It was the original Planning Commission staff report that included that analysis. I'm happy to answer any questions regarding that or anything else with the site or with the application. Council's options tonight are to approve the request with or without conditions, deny it for any reasons, or table for further consideration. And again, Planning Commission heard this case on June 5th and unanimously recommended approval, and the condition they added regarding the access easement's been satisfied as well. So I believe that's it. Again, the applicant's here to answer any questions, speak on behalf, and I'm happy to answer any as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Alan.
If I may, Mayor,
Yes.
just a quick question, Alan. On the condition for the easement, has that been addressed yet?
Yeah, so they turned in the actual access easement, or a copy of the reception number, showing that the access easement was recorded last week. So that part of the Planning Commission resolution's been satisfied.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is the applicant present, and would you like to come forward to present any evidence in support of your application? Yes? So you have to be sworn in. Come on forward. We're going to have the city clerk swear you in.
Okay.
If both of you are going to testify, both of you need
Yes.
to get sworn in. Okay.
So if you'll raise your right hands. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Quick introduction. My name's Mark Hernandez. I'm actually a commercial real estate broker, but I'm functioning as a project manager for the relocation of Temple of Bethel Church. They've been located in North Denver for a number of years, just south of I-70 off of Pecos. And a majority of the congregation actually lives further north, up in Northglenn, Thornton area. And that whole gentrification that's happened in North Denver kind of compelled them to relocate. And so we've been on the hunt for over a year and a half looking for an ideal location that would accommodate the congregation on the northern part of the metro area. And we were lucky enough to find this building. The building is in major disrepair. You know, we've gone through some great expense of getting all the plans, all the zoning, getting everything completed in order to make the move. We're poised now to submit for the building permits and get that set. I think it'd be a really great benefit to the neighborhood to get that building up and going again and relocate the congregation. So anyway, but that's where we're at with it. Planning or the commission was very receptive to our plans, and you can probably see by the renderings, it's going to come out pretty nice. pretty nice. And anyway, but this is Pastor Coronado, Roberto Coronado. He is the pastor of the church and has been for a number of years. It is a Spanish language church. So the congregation is kind of small at this time, and it'll grow by a little bit with the relocation. But if you have any questions for the pastor, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you. My name is Robert, Pastor Robert Coronado. I've been a pastor for many years. I began my ministry in 1955, for which many of you guys were not even around here. But I have dedicated most of my life in the ministry. I did took some time off the ministry to raise my children and put them through school, and then we returned back into the ministry. I worked for the Department of Corrections in Colorado for 30 years, actually. And so I returned back since my kids had grown and went to school and they got their own homes and moved on. So as Mr. Mark has mentioned, that we started 5 years ago at the location in the Pecos, north of Denver, and we began to see that our future there was not really very bright. We began to see the surroundings of our community kind of closing in on us, and they began to build around, and they began to kind of give us the idea, the thinking that they were going to kind of surround us with all these buildings. So we began to plan, began to think about maybe we need to move on. And of course, in a situation like that, you encounter some resistance from some of the members, and we kind of struggled a little while, and to begin to perhaps try to instill in their minds that that would be a good move, or be a good thing to do. And so even though we had this resistance, there was a group that was all for it. So with that, we move on, and we contacted Mr. Hernandez, who was really trying to come and help us out. And so we started that journey into finding a place that would be suitable. We looked many areas, and we found that Northglenn and Northern area and all these areas, there are many Hispanics living in this area here. So we felt that that would be a very good place to begin and establish a church. Our plans is to work with the Hispanic people. There are many Hispanics that are not bilingual, they're just Spanish, and some come with the idea that that's the language they're going to speak here. And I try hard to convince them that that's not really the way it is, because your children are growing and they're going to learn English quickly, and sure enough, that's what has exactly happened. And now they're wondering, what are we going to do? I said, well, don't worry about it. You just back us up and support us, and we'll work that out. So we're going to begin basically our services with trying to instill a bilingual services so that the children can go on that. So we're so happy to be here in this area, and we want to thank you from our board to giving us the opportunity to be in this community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pastor. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Any persons opposed to the application can come forward at this time. All right, seeing none. Any other interested parties can also present public comment at this time. Seeing none. We don't need any rebuttal evidence. So, council, do you have any questions of staff or the applicant? Sorry. Jordan?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. First, thank you for wanting to be in our community. It was really great. My question is concerning more about traffic in addition to parking. It notes 36 spaces currently. Is that enough? I just fear that maybe it's going to be a large service that won't be adequate.
Based on our code, it was more than enough. I mean, with the fact that it could hold technically up to 108, we felt it being less than 50% of that. I mean, there was no reason to add any more. It would have also caused I guess, the applicant to have to pave larger areas to do more disturbance on the site and become more of a development project than really that sort of use warrants. So there wasn't much consideration after the traffic letter was reviewed by Public Works that any sorts of additional parking, turn lanes, anything like that was never really part of the conversation.
Any other questions?
Yeah, not for the planning commission, but for the pastor.
Yes.
Not really a question. I just want to say welcome to our community. Bienvenido.
Gracias.
And
Muchas gracias.
I also thank you for making an investment in our community.
Thank you.
Muchísimas gracias.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Any other questions? Jenny?
Also, in the same line as Antonio, thank you for coming and making an investment. I know that that building is in great need of some repair, and so I know that the residents and a lot of us who spend time in that area are very thankful that you're bringing it up and that you're using it so well.
Thank you.
So welcome and thank you.
I should thank you very much, ma'am.
Anyone else? Okay. Seeing no one else wants to ask any questions, I also would like to thank the applicants for being here in support of their application. Thank you very much. And I will close that public hearing. And we will move to our next public hearing, which is CB 1910. Joanna, would you read the title, please?
A bill for a special ordinance amending the 2018 budget, recognizing revenues and appropriating expenditures by supplemental appropriation for the payment of the costs and expenses of the municipal government, agencies, and offices of the City of Northglenn, Colorado for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2018.
Thank you. Brooke, you want to, just give us a little overview of it, please. A little background.
Oh, certainly. So, Madam Mayor and Council, tonight this request is before you in regards to the Justice Center, in which we are requesting a change order amendment in the amount of $725,000. The funding for this, or the funding source for this, is from the bond premium, in which we have an addition out of $1 million. We have approximately $725,000 in change that we can apply toward this. So this will not affect existing fund balances for that reason.
Thank you. Is there anyone here who would like to speak for or against CB 1910? Seeing no one come forward, I will close that public hearing. Thank you. We will move to ordinances, second reading. First is CB 1908. Joanna, would you read the title?
A bill for an ordinance amending the Northglenn Municipal Code by the addition thereto of a new section 9-4-15 concerning pedestrian access to medians and repealing Article 7 of Chapter 7 of the Northglenn Municipal Code.
Second.
Brooke, would you give us background, please?
Absolutely. I'm going to defer to Corey on this one, and he'll give you the preamble, and I may jump in at the end and fill in any blanks.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Mayor, members of council, this ordinance, if adopted on second reading, would prohibit the storage, if you will, of pedestrians not moving through areas that are unsafe. You have in your packet a study that was done by a consultant for the city that identified intersections where the medians were unsafe for people to stay. The ordinance allows them, if they can't make it across, to stay for one signal, one cycle, and then continue on when it is safe to proceed. But because of the width of the medians, based on the study, and the speed of the vehicles at those locations, the study supports making those areas not open for pedestrians to stand.
All right. Are there questions or discussion from council? Okay. Hearing none. Joanna, would you open the vote, please?
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I'll close that vote, and CB 1908 on second reading passes unanimously.
Thank you. We will move to CB 1909. Joanna, would you read the title?
A bill for a special ordinance rezoning from O-1 open space to R-1-B residential, certain real property in the city of Northglenn located at 10700 Pecos Street in the county of Adams, state of Colorado, and amending the zoning map of the city of Northglenn.
Second.
Want to rehash
Sure,
this?
certainly. Per the staff presentation, staff is recommending approval of the request.
All right. Are there any questions from council? Hearing none. Joanna, would you open the vote, please?
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I'll close that vote, and CB 1909 on second reading passes unanimously.
Thank you. And we will move to CB 1910. Joanna, would you read the title?
A bill for a special ordinance amending the 2018 budget, recognizing revenues and appropriating expenditures by supplemental appropriation for the payment of the costs and expenses of the municipal government, agencies, and offices of the City of Northglenn, Colorado for the fiscal year beginning January 1, 2018.
Move for approval.
Second.
And I believe we already described this one, so does council have any questions for staff? You have a question?
I do.
Yeah.
Is this a change order to where we're pulling out of our contingency fund, or is this just an appropriation of the funds?
So there's a bond premium in which we had, when we did the financing, that enabled us to have about $1 million. So we're not, this is a change order, but it's in addition to the existing contingency that we have. Go ahead.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. This is not a change order. This is actually just a amendment to the budget to increase the budget to the project of $725,000.
So we've gone over, we're looking at going over by 725, I apologize.
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make sure that I
Yep.
understand you. And do we know what caused the overage?
What was that, sorry?
Did we have a cost that we didn't, if I'm understanding this correctly, we're over budget by 725,000?
The estimate is about $560,000, so that's above and beyond the contractor's contingency and the owner's contingency that we have. So yes, the estimate is at 560. The 725 is to encompass any other items that may come forward over the next couple of months before as the project's completed.
Is there a generalized area that we went over on? I'm just curious because I know we were doing really good for a while.
So there's two large contracts for the projects. One was the architect, and then the other is the guaranteed maximum price for the construction. Both of those contracts are within budget. Some other expenditures, some utility connections have run over for XL, Comcast, those types of things. And then there's been some road improvements and the studies on those that kind of have driven the budget beyond the original 23.
So basically, this is 725,000 that we already spent above and beyond, and now you want to appropriate the money? My question is, originally, for a long time, we were getting monthly or bi-monthly updates of it, and we were getting our change orders or what was hitting our contingency plan before now where we have a blanket of 725. So that's what my question is.
Can I just interrupt?
Yes, please.
So this is second reading, so we've already vetted it in
Can't
first,
ask.
and maybe, I don't know if you weren't here or not. No, you can ask. I just think that you missed, and
I
actually, it
probably
probably would have
did.
been good if you had the sheet that said where all of this, the money was going. I know you've put it in here before. It just would have been nice to have it again tonight for somebody like Becky who's asking that question.
Right.
But would you explain that we have a bond premium and that is going to cover the $725,000? Can you explain that, please, Council?
Sure. So the bond premium, in a lot of situations, you don't know how much investors are going to invest, therefore creating a premium when you issue the debt. Typically, that premium goes right to the project. In our situation, we had set the budget. The budget was capped at the 23 million with a 3% contingency on top, so about 23.6. So when the bond premium came in, we actually received proceeds beyond the budgeted need. So those funds have really been sitting there waiting to either be used in a situation like this, or to be applied at a later date to some other project. So just worked a little bit differently in this situation since we set, a precise budget. We tried when we issued the debt in April of 2017 to reduce the principal as much as we could, knowing that there would be a premium so that we wouldn't have, issued $23 million of debt and then had a $3 million bond premium. So we tried to price the issuance to get as close to the budget that was set. In this case, we were a little bit over, and we have the money available waiting, to be assigned to something. And our recommendation is to assign it to this project to get it wrapped up.
Thank you, Jason. I'd like to point out that I apologize because I did miss meetings when I was taking care of my father, so I do apologize for missing that.
No.
And it looks like this was right around that time, so I do apologize.
And I think it's important that definitely they went over their overages. We're lucky that we have this money, but it's still money that, so.
Right.
So thank you very much.
All right.
Are there any other questions? Okay, hearing none. Joanna, would you open the vote, please?
The vote is open. I'll close that vote, and CB 1910 on second reading passes unanimously.
Thank you. We will move to ordinances first reading. The only one we have is CB 1911. Joanna, would you read the title?
A bill for a special ordinance rezoning from R-3-A conditional to planned unit development, certain real property at 11450 Community Center Drive in the city of Northglenn, county of Adams, state of Colorado, and amending the zoning map of the city of Northglenn.
Move for approval.
Second.
Very briefly, so this is an existing multifamily development in which they're looking to add 50 units. We will provide a full staff presentation at the second reading, and I'm happy to entertain any questions that you may have at this point.
Questions? Not at this time. All right, Joanna, would you open the vote, please?
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I'll close that vote, and CB 1911 on first reading passes unanimously. And I would like to note for the record that the public hearing on CB 1911 will be held on July 9th, 2018, here in City Hall Council Chambers.
Thank you. We will move to resolutions. CR 82. Joanna, would you read that title?
A resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement between the City of Northglenn and Adams 12 five-star schools for use and access of city-owned property.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In this request, the applicant is Adams 12 five-star, and they are looking for a staging area for some infrastructure improvements that they're putting on. This will not affect the timing or implementation of the design and/or construction of this property as a municipal park.
Questions? Marcy?
Can I just ask, can you clarify how the fiber optic lines dedicated to city use? City only our municipal buildings, or?
So I'll defer that to Amanda.
And I may still defer to someone else. Good evening again, Mayor and Council. As the agreement states, that's something we would work out further detail with the school district on. They've had some conversations with Bob Lair about improving connectivity between our facilities. I know Perry is here with the as a contractor for the school district, and he may be able to respond in a little more detail. But what we've talked about is that we would finalize that agreement as we moved forward with the project in a way that would best serve the needs of the city and the school district with the project they have going in. Our greatest need for communication, to my understanding, is between going east-west between the new Justice Center and the water treatment plant. And I know that Perry said they had some ideas for that, but it hasn't been defined. Perry, did you want to add any more to that?
Thanks, Amanda. Mayor and Council, thanks. It's a pleasure to be here. So where we're at in the process right now is we're just doing our high-level design. So we have 15 facilities within the city of Northglenn that we need to reach. And we're looking at the best way to get to those. And so as part of that process, we're working with Bob and the IT staff and just looking at various routes and various needs for the city. So we're hopeful that as we build out this project, we want to be a good regional partner. And if there's things that we can do to help out the city in Northglenn while we're doing that, we're certainly engaged in wanting to do that.
Any other questions? No? Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for being here. Joanna, would you open the vote, please?
The vote is open.
Please vote.
I'll close that vote, and CR 82 passes unanimously.
Thank you. We will move to our discussion items tonight, the first being the Ralston House update. Nate here? Yep. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor. Good evening, Council.
The Ralston House, I'm sure if you guys have driven by there, you've seen the building going up and the roof's getting done. They're almost dried in, which will enable them to start working on the electrical and mechanical components inside the building. There's a minor snag with the window vendor that's delaying the delivery a little bit, but there's enough float in the schedule that it shouldn't impact it in any way. So,
any questions for Nate while he's here with us? No?
What's the estimated completion date for that?
The contract date is December 23rd, but I know the contractor is confident that they will deliver early.
Thank you.
I'm up next. So
You're up next. Yeah. Yes, you are. All right. Northglenn Justice Center construction update.
Justice Center construction fence went down this week, and you can see the landscaping and a number of the flat work that's out in front of the building. We started to hit a number of the punch lists for the building. The civil punch was earlier in June for the preliminary work, and then we'll do it again towards the end of the project. And also the architect has been out doing some architectural punching and just making sure everything's there and working the way it's supposed to.
Questions? Jenny?
When I was driving over Community Center Drive, I noticed that there's a sign that says that that road is going to be closed. Can you talk about that a little bit so that folks who are listening know about that closure?
Yes, so that closure will be from July 5th through July 9th, and it is for the asphalt work in the intersection. There's a number of issues with the subgrade there, and this is to address those and ultimately improve the asphalt for to handle the stopping movement for the stoplight and traffic. And it again, it'll be a 5-day closure and in and out, and it should be a minimal impact to the public.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Nate.
All right, thank you.
We will move to communications. I will start with Jenny.
Great. I have 4 items. One, sorry, Joanne, I'm going to steal some of your thunder. Tomorrow is the primary election day, so if you are hanging onto a ballot, it is now too late to mail it back. So you'll need to drop it off at a 24-hour drop box. We have one located just directly outside, or you can vote in person. And I believe that the website to identify where your polling location is justvotecolorado.org. So check that out. Make sure that your vote is cast by 7 p.m. and have your voice and your vote heard. Secondly, I wanted to say congratulations to Arby's and AutoZones on their grand opening and ribbon cutting. Huron Center is really looking snappy, and so I know that when I was knocking on doors that was one of the issues that Ward 4 residents were really concerned about was the future of that property, and it's really exciting to see it really kind of coming to fruition and looking great. And I'll be really excited when that Save a Lot is in and up and running. So thank you to staff as well as everybody who's been involved in that project. It's looking really great. Thirdly, I spent part of last week up at the Colorado Municipal League in Vail and had a great time getting to know other council members from across the state, as well as sharing best practices and ideas. And yeah, it was fantastic, and congratulations to Carol Shitter, President. You did an excellent job in convening everything. And then finally, I hope that all of our Ward 4 members will join Antonio and I at Hugh Danahay Park on Thursday. It's supposed to be really frickin' hot, but I think it's supposed to be like 101 or something, and I had a resident call me on the phone, and she's like, I don't think I'm coming. But I really urge you to consider, because we will have ice cream. And if that doesn't cool you off, Antonio's really cool, so hopefully that will. Anyway, I think we start at what, 5:15 or 6:15?
6:15.
Okay, I'll let Antonio talk about what we'll be talking about, because I don't remember. But we hope to see you all there. Thank you.
Julie? All right, well, I probably won't do any ice cream, but
I'm disappointed.
Sorry. So last week I also went to the Colorado Municipal League conference up in Vail, and I really enjoyed it. It was my first time going to this conference. It was a great time to meet a lot of people. I am actually just really excited to hear about all the awesome things that are going around the state of Colorado, and I created like a list of all these other cities I have to go to so I could see all of this great work that they're doing. So it was a great experience for me, and so yeah, I appreciate going, and definitely hope to connect with staff to talk about some of the great ideas.
Marcy? So have just a couple of items. I just wanted to say I attended the Red and Blue Barbecue on Saturday, and I want to give a big shout out to Sarah Ferris, who puts a lot of time and effort into coordinating that event. It's not her day gig. She's, her role is communications of fire department, and she took that on and she put it together, and I think she really worked hard, as I'm sure the rest of the staff did. So please pass along our appreciation for her work on that. We have a representative here from the fire department tonight. Also, thanks to the Rotary for participating in that. They were running the beer tent, and I think Amanda will agree with me. It was kind of nice to be on the flip side of an event, not serving beer, and being able to enjoy an event. Our chief took best in ribs, is that right? Yep. So
really?
Congratulations to him. And the North Metro Fire District's Paul Strongwater took home the grand champion overall. So congratulations to him. It was definitely tasty. I hope they do the event again, and we can see it grow and have more attendance. I saw a number of people from City Council there as well. Also, Anythink Library has been hosting some visionary sessions that they've been doing over the last few weeks that are looking at what do you want your next library to look like. Those two libraries tentatively will be in Reunion and another one in Thornton. And so they're just kind of looking for some input on that, and some of us may have received invitations to different events that they are coordinating, so I would encourage you to participate if you get an invite for that. And then they also announced that the Huron Street location will be hosting a farmer's market that is being run by Tri-County Health and City of Thornton. So starting July 10th from 9 to noon, you'll be able to go to the Anythink Library on Huron Street and participate in a farmer's market. I'm so sorry, I'm drawing a blank on the name of the farmer's market out of Bright Piazza?
Lumbo's?
No, not Lumbo's. I will remember that for the next time, but it'll be nice to have local. And I would point out that they are trying to get an approval to be able to accept WIC, to be able to have that as an opportunity at that location as well. It's not approved yet, but something that they are working on before July 10th. I attended the Arby's grand opening, and many of us today attended the AutoZone ribbon cutting. And in case you need to replace your wipers at midnight, you can go to that location because they're open 24 hours a day. Antonio?
Yes, thank you. Try not to repeat what other people have said because we had a busy week. AutoZone, yes, it is a beautiful place. It is open 24 hours. And they're requesting, I was visiting with the store manager, they're requesting a police visibility because they are 24 hours. Yeah, much like IHOP, I guess, the 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, be nice to see a patrol car cruise by, get a cup of coffee or whatever. The other thing they were concerned about was turning right out of the center onto 104th at 4 p.m. Can't do it, he said. He said that's a real problem. So if we could implement some kind of a traffic count, traffic survey, not just on the right turn, but right and left turn coming out or coming in, because traffic is coming in from 104th, turning into there if you're making a left-hand turn. So he said that was a real problem.
On the property or at the street?
In the street. Well,
You say leaving.
for him coming out of the parking lot, turning right onto 104th, that would be the property. From turning left on 104th, that would be the street.
Okay, understood.
I too attended CML the first time. You think that after this being my third year, I would have been there once before, but it was my first time. I was a little disappointed that we as a council, my apologies to all of you because we all played a role in it, weren't better prepared and didn't really develop a purpose as a new goer to CML. I mean, Jenny's first, Julie's first, Meredith's first, my first. We were kind of like, oh, really? It would have been more helpful if, I don't know how we do this, Corey, because we can't meet and have conversations. without posting, and maybe we can do an executive session before that time, or I don't know how we would do that, but it would be nice to be able to coordinate some efforts as to who's going where, who's doing what, you know, places to eat. You know, there's free food everywhere. The first night I'm buying food. That's not good use of taxpayer money.
You didn't RSVP yourself?
We can certainly work on getting you better information, and I can tell you that I am certainly always aware of where the free food is, so I can help with that.
If I would have seen you and known that, I would have tagged you. I had a couple of calls today on the fireworks. Some people were concerned about the enforcement of the ordinance, and if there would be a fine, as the sign says. I tried to encourage and communicate to the residents that it's not my decision to punish anybody. You know, we want to educate our community. This is the first time putting out signs. This is the first time doing some of this stuff, although it's been on the ordinance for a while. So they were quite receptive. They are concerned about sparklers. Sparklers don't make any noise, and they don't start any fires, from what I understand. I've never tried one. But the gentleman told me you can't even light a cigarette with a sparkler. I don't know if that's true either. You know, if we are called to enforce sparklers, I would request that we keep it to a minimum.
So I might defer to the chief, but I think there's the safe and sane fireworks that are permissible. It's the illegal type of fireworks that I believe we typically go out and enforce. Do you have? They're all.
It's all of them. Okay. But we're gonna. I mean, this time of year we get a lot of calls. Let me just tell you some of the tactics they're going to use 4th of July. I am really minimizing the amount of police officers I'm going to have during, but during the day it'll be the patrol officers that are out, but I'm not going to have any park teams out. If they are, they're in other, duties. My detectives will go work the park. So I'm grabbing as many people I can. I'm going to make 4 separate teams, and I'm going to have them on bicycles, and their job that evening is to go around issuing tickets and confiscating fireworks, illegal fireworks. So we'll see how many, their nickname, the name of them, they're naming themselves the fun suckers, sucking the fun out of it, but they're going to go around and they're going to start hitting. I have them in different areas of the city, so they'll be out that night. So don't be surprised if, they scratch your ticket for illegal fireworks. And then I'll try to come up, because it doesn't stop on the 4th. And then I'm going to try to do some actually impact stuff, for the next week or 2 after that, to try to get some more officers out there. It gets difficult, though. So, when we roll up, we have to identify the person that's actually shooting, the fireworks off to issue a summons. So, but we'll be out there in force. It is a busy night, but that's what their primary duties are. In past, it's our busiest night of the year. So if something bad happens, we'll pull them from that to handle the other situations. But that's what their duties are right now. Go ahead, Jenny.
Is there a time in which we evaluate our response to fireworks around the 4th of July? I know we've got the signs out for the first time, which I really appreciate, and I hope that makes an impact. But is there a point at which you come back to us and say, look, what we did this year really worked, let's keep doing it, or this didn't work, maybe you guys should increase the fine? Like, is there a point at which we have that conversation?
Well, there's several things that I've been watching too. I mean, we're a little bit behind Thornton, putting our signs out, but they're out. Thornton has done a real push, if you've seen in some of the media, that they're doing some things, and I'm going to get with them and see how effective it has been for them, if they've seen a reduction. So we'll just, see what works, and then I'll come back and with suggestions on how we can do it a little better next year. Again, I'll hit fines. I mean, their fine is, I think, $500. Ours is $200. I think, that I've even had, I'm not kidding you, I've had someone come up and say, so if I just pay the $200 and we guys come back at night, and I was like, well, first I'm gonna confiscate all the fireworks that I see, give you a ticket, and then if I come back again, I'll give you another ticket. So, yeah, so I don't know how much bite that one has, but we'll be out there and I think we'll issue more summonses this year for sure.
And I apologize, Corey did tell me that safe and sane are not allowed, so it's everything, even if it's on the ground, is not allowed.
Yeah.
And Chief, are you and your teams addressing fireworks concerns that are currently happening? Because I know the other night in my neighborhood, someone was lighting it up crazy.
Yeah, we try. I mean, again, I know, and you know, it's bothersome and everything else, just depending on call load and how we get that. That falls down into, you know, when they start dispatching for priorities and everything else. I just wish our residents would be a little more respectful, you know, on doing it. If they're, you know, it seems like then they start doing it at 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night, not being respectful, you know, to their neighbors. So I can tell you the officers look a lot harder when it's, you know, 11 o'clock getting called out on those fireworks. But sometimes, as you know, it's tough to locate, you know, when they're going off in the neighborhoods, they echo all over the place and then try to zero in. They see that patrol car coming down the street and they skedaddle.
Just to make a comment on Julie's, the other night, about 10 o'clock, I had a knock on the door, and this nice officer said, "Hi, how are you?" And I went, "Oh, hi, how are you?" He goes, "Do you have teenagers at your house?" And I went, for the first time in a long time, nobody was home except me. And I went, "No, I don't have any teenagers here." It was some of the neighbors were out there with fireworks, and so he just kind of walked over to houses and had
And
a talk
educated,
with them.
yeah.
Had a talk.
That was good. Well, I'm glad they went out.
I know, it was kind of like 10 o'clock, I was watching the news, and I was like, who's coming to my house this time? So they are out there, they're working.
Good.
So,
Okay.
Thank you.
Lastly, ward meeting, which is this 28th, Thursday, 6:15. I saw on the 5:30 news that it's going to be 100 degrees that day.
101, Antonio, 101.
101 now, it's already gone up one. So
Not forget.
That was good, girl.
a good time to come and enjoy an ice cream or a milkshake that you'll eat out of a bag.
Nobody's coming now.
oh my God.
Anyway, that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to have a lot of piggybacks on everybody's, but I definitely went to the AutoZone today. It was very interesting because it is so large. They were very gracious, and we welcome them to that community because what a renaissance. The Huron Center really looks great, and so we're glad that they're there. I would like to mention a few things about the CML conference. I think first, to your point, I feel bad for you that you feel you couldn't navigate the conference. I think the CML goes above and beyond. They have an opening session for people, new people who need to learn how to navigate the conference. I think you could have asked any one of us that was there at any point in time. I've attended the CML conference ever since I've been on City Council, since 2009, and I've been a board member for 6 years, and I've never felt like I ever needed to have the council convene to discuss how to navigate the conference. So I just think that that's strange. But I would have been happy to help you at any point in time. I am so glad this conference was very important to me because I'm now the immediate past president. I was the president up to the voting at this conference. So for me, it's really a culmination of a lot of hard work. I worked really hard. I did it all myself. To work my way through the ranks and work up to be the president. So it was really satisfying to be there, satisfying to be acknowledged at a board dinner that night, and now I get to be immediate past president and I don't have to lead the board meetings anymore, so that's kind of the good part about it. So that's it. Thank you.
Guess where I went last week?
Where?
I went to CML. Okay. I did all my RSVPs ahead of time. And I had really good food, Antonio. I'm sorry, but shout out, that works. Wonderful. I was not able to attend a couple of the ribbon cuttings, but I made sure I went back and I went to the new businesses. Kentucky Fried Chicken is so clean and it smells good and it's really, really tastes good. So I suggest y'all go there. The one thing that I thought was really awesome at CML this year that we haven't mentioned yet was that our very own Steve Austin received an award for his volunteer work, and it's very humbling to me that a 92-year-old man can do so much volunteering, and I struggle moving past the few organizations that I volunteer with. He's an inspiration to me, and I can only hope that when I'm 92, A, I look as good as he does, and that I can make the walk from Lion's Head parking lot down to the hotel, you know, and still be breathing. But I just think it's really important to note that he's just such a wonderful, loving man, and I'm just so pleased that I got to be part of that and to share that experience with him. And it just, having known him for so many years, it just meant so much to me, and it was just a great day and a great moment for him. Other than that, I do not have any.
Okay. I attended CML also. And I want to say, I agree with you totally. I mean, I was so pleased to be there to watch Steve Austin receive the honor that he received. And he has received others throughout the years. I mean, he's just awesome. He's one of the most awesome volunteers we have, and we have great volunteers. I mean, you know, not to negate any other one, because we have awesome volunteers. But being the fact that he is 92 and he does so much, that it was just an honor to be there with him. So congratulations, Steve. I really thank you for all you do for the city. The other thing I did and there's a bunch of stuff, but the one thing that I wanted to mention, I was one of the judges at the Red and Blue barbecue cook-off. And I am so glad to hear that the chief actually won something, because when we do that, they put numbers, you know, so we didn't know as we judged who was, you know, winning and who was not winning. So I'm really excited to hear that the chief won, you know. And all the barbecue was good, I will tell you that. And the desserts were awesome also. So with that, the other things, just to mention that I attended the swearing in of our new officers. And it was really exciting to see how the families were so excited about it, and they pinned on their badges, and it was really a good thing. Also, I went to the ribbon cutting over at AutoZone today, and I agree, you know, it's one of the nicer things. So that's it. I've got other stuff, but everybody else has done it too. So there you go.
All the things. So I also went to CML, which was really a great experience for a new council member. The learning was some days pretty overwhelming. Every day was really, really packed, but the opportunity to connect with our neighbors was really powerful. And a lot of that happened, you know, out by the fireplace on a break. And so I felt like the opportunity to go up there, I just thank the city for providing us that opportunity, because the learning was great. A little bit to Antonio's point, if I didn't have a veteran teammate, I wouldn't have known what to do, because all of the emails that we got and the registration packet, Jordan and I sat down and she helped me figure out how to sign up and what to sign up for and what to say yes to and what not to say yes to. And having experienced it myself now, I am much more knowledgeable and ready to jump in next time. And so I think it's just a big leap, and CML does do a fantastic job making sure that there's so many opportunities, but it can be a little overwhelming to navigate. So had I not had a buddy to help me, that would have been hard. But I did attend coffee with the mayor today. I think they've renamed it Mingle with the Mayor. That was nice.
Just for today.
And it was just for today. So we did some mingling. And I do need to kind of praise Ward 4, because, man, they show up. And then we've got to push back on Wards 1, 2, and 3, because I don't think we had any representation this morning. And I know it's hard, and so it's in the back of my mind, and I know Jordan's as well, how to activate those other wards so that they have as much of a voice. Ward 4 came out and had so many great comments, and so much awesome feedback to share and questions to ask, but it was pretty heavy-handed. so congratulations to Ward 4, but the rest of us, I did tell them we were all very jealous, so. And then I also was at the ribbon cutting for AutoZone, so thankful that they are there. The 24 hours did surprise me. So if I ever need, you know, things in the middle of the night, I know where to go. Arby's, also another wonderful business there. I had an experience at KFC this week that I posted on my Facebook page. I took a photo of the staff, but it did remind me of something. With change, there's always nostalgia. So I took my family, my son cried. And he just walked around going, but the tables used to be there and the hallway used to be there. And I was like, what is happening right now? And he had an experience with his grandfather. They used to go there every week. And so he was emotionally attached to the old, so cute. But anyway, but the new staff, and I don't know if any of them are new, but they are amazing. Just polite and welcoming and courteous, and it was just a really wonderful experience. So definitely go if you haven't checked it out.
Okay, so Saturday night I had the pleasure of attending the Daniels Fund Dinner. They do it every year, the introduction of the new scholars. It's one of my favorite events every year to go to. With it being the 2018 scholars, I had a lot of questions of what year were you a scholar, and I was counting back the years, and I couldn't believe it was the 2010 scholar. So there were 8 classes after me. It's always well attended. We had one incredible individual from Northglenn High School was recipient of the scholarship, as well as a few other surrounding municipalities who spoke to Northglenn and our youth commission, which was great, saying the great work that they did, and they wish we had that, or they could have been a part of something very similar. So it was wonderful, and shout out to Bill Daniels and the Daniels Fund, Ascended Childers for such a great event. Also, please don't forget to vote. Tomorrow is the last day. We have our voting box outside City Hall, so that's really great. Make sure you get that in. Also, 4th of July Festival is next week. One of my favorite things every year is the firecrackers and flapjacks run. Marcy and her team does a great job of getting us registered, because I'm always late at that, to put me on the trail. So I'm excited for that. As well as the Pooch Parade. It was always fun to judge that, and the tricycles, and they take that very, very serious.
Yes.
So that's really exciting. So make sure you plan to spend your 4th of July with us. And I think that's it.
Joanne?
I have nothing tonight, Mayor.
I have nothing.
We kept talking about it earlier.
Corey?
Just a couple quick things. I too attended the CML conference, and one of the, I think, very relevant things for Northglenn is actually there was a presentation Thursday afternoon on sales tax, and Thursday morning the United States Supreme Court decided a very important case on sales tax. And I would just suggest that for Northglenn's small businesses, it really does assist in eliminating a competitive disadvantage, I think, over time, where online retailers will ultimately likely be subject to the same basic sales tax that small brick and mortar businesses in Northglenn, and I think long-term that is going to help neighborhood businesses that are currently at a competitive disadvantage. And then this is the time of year where you will start getting a lot of information from my office on some of the legislative changes and suggested revisions. And Jeff Wilson earlier mentioned some of the liquor code issues. Well, this is Title 12, which is a book I look at frequently that has liquor and marijuana and a lot of other codes in it. One of the things the legislature did is take a lot of what was in Title 12 and create a new red book. So there will be some significant proposed changes, because everywhere that, in most places, the Title 12 is referenced in Northglenn in the municipal code, that's going to have to change. So it's one of those non-substantive issues that will have significant non-substantive changes in all of Northglenn's books.
We will move to public invited to be heard, limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Is there anyone that would like to come forward? Sit down, sir. All right. Seeing no one, I would move to adjourn the regular city council meeting and enter into an executive session pursuant to section 4.5 parent D of the City of Northglenn Home Rule Charter for legal consultation and advice regarding personnel matters and potential litigation.
Second.
Joanna, would you open the vote, please?
The vote is open.
Please vote.
Just say yes.
Just raise your hand.
I'll close that vote, and the motion to adjourn to executive session passes unanimously.
Thank you. We're in executive session, and we can take a 10-minute break. Thanks.
Wait, I have to tell you something, Meredith, because I so